So now, everybody, we are delighted to be joined by the wonderful Lila Rose. Lila, thanks very much for being with us this evening. Can you tell us, first of all, in the States, it seems to be the case that the pro-life movement has turned a corner and is in the ascendancy. Is that fair to say?
Yes, well, we have a tremendous amount of work left to do in the United States, but there's a lot of good happening because of the consistent hard work being done every day by thousands and thousands of people. So right now, our abortion rate is still sky high. I mean, we have 2,363 children killed daily in America, but that number has dropped by 50% since 1980. So we've seen a sharp decline in abortion over the last 4 decades. And that's something worth celebrating because that's tens of thousands, ultimately millions of lives that have been saved. So we're always looking at it, the good and the bad together. We have a lot of work left to do. Abortion is still legal in all 50 states, but there are also many states. Just last year, there were a handful of states that passed some of the most strongest pro-life laws yet, like the state of Louisiana, like the state of Georgia, passing laws to ban abortion once the heartbeat can be detected. So that's basically banning all abortions on all children, because a woman usually doesn't even know she's pregnant until the heartbeat happens at about 21 and a half days, about 3.5 weeks. So we're very hopeful. We're fighting hard, but as always, and I know this is your fight in Ireland, there is the good and the bad in this fight, because we are working daily with a life and death battle. And so we have to celebrate the victories, but we have to be as determined as ever to achieve complete abolition, which is what we're working for here in the States.
And what are some of the main ways in which you and a handful of others have brought this forward so much in quite a short space of time?
Sure. So the way we've been able to, I think there's several factors that have led to the decline in the abortion rate over the last few decades, and to the closure of dozens, actually hundreds of abortion clinics, and to a lot of the state laws which are protecting human life in the US. First of all, I think education has been tremendously powerful. I know that this is something that you prioritize in Ireland, and I highly encourage continue on and don't give up, because while the powerful forces are against us, I know institutional media is often against us, governments are often against us, the school system, academia is often against us, entertainment media, the culture is often against us. The power of education, using the internet, going to the streets, leafleting, holding events and conferences, showing people the humanity of the preborn child, actually showing people what the violence of abortion does to a baby, that is transformative. And we see hearts and minds changed all the time in the United States. We saw the number of people who identify as pro-life change by over 10 percentage points over the last decade, because more and more people have the facts about what abortion does and about the beauty and the humanity of that preborn child. A couple other things I want to mention too are the power of our pregnancy resource center movement. In the United States, there's thousands of pregnancy resource centers that are doing daily work to serve women in need and parents in need, to help them with their young children, with their unborn children. This is really powerful, not just to provide physical resources, material resources, but to be emotional support, and also to help to galvanize activists in the local community who want to be involved in the pro-life cause. So keep up that good work. If you're working in the care side of the movement, it's so essential. And even though day in, day out, it seems sometimes like a slog and we're not winning the big war, you are winning daily battles when you are there to support mothers and women in need. One last thing that's been really, really important and powerful besides education and care is, of course, fighting the political battle. It's messy, it's frustrating. There are setbacks. We've seen them in the United States, but we have to keep fighting it, because getting people not just educated, but prepared to take action politically and as activists in their community matters tremendously. And while there will be losses of battles at times, we are focused on winning a war. Every great war has battles where there are losses, but we have to persevere and continue to be prepared for the next battle so that we can achieve that ultimate abolition of abortion and cultural change that I know we are working towards in the United States, and I know that you want in Ireland.
So in Ireland, you obviously know we had a big setback in 2018, and I think it's fair to say a lot of people are quite disheartened, especially now that we see the figures coming in on how many children have been killed in Ireland since. So what would you say to a lot of people here who feel quite dispirited but still know the truth and still want to do something?
Yeah, it was a huge setback, and I grieved with you from over here. I mean, I was out in Ireland a couple times before you had that terrible setback, trying to do events with you guys, and my heart grieves with you and the over 6,000 children, Irish children killed since the referendum. So I feel what you're feeling. You know, we have our death toll here in America. It's incredible. Over 2,000 children killed every day. But what I would say to you is this battle is not one we can give up. This battle is one we must give our whole hearts to continue to fight. And the battle is greater than even educating about abortion, educating about the dignity of the baby, and caring for women. The battle is a larger cultural battle. And I think in Ireland, you guys were working hard. You were doing powerful educational work that I looked to from the United States, Live Action, other pro-life groups. It was a model for us. But I think what we're seeing is the larger cultural decay needs to be addressed. And that has to do with talking about sex. It has to do with talking about marriage. It has to do with reasserting what it really means to be human. Because in a society where we no longer see sex as sacred, where we no longer value marriage, where we no longer see children as a good, but we instead have this anti-child mentality and a pro-contraceptive mentality where we don't want sex to create life, we don't want it to be a part of marriage, then abortion is a natural consequence. And so we've seen this in the United States since our sexual revolution in the 1960s. And I know that that's a problem in Ireland too. So the loss in Ireland wasn't the fault of the incredible educational work you were doing to expose the truth about abortion. It was the consequence of a broken culture. So I would encourage you, continue to fight as hard as ever to educate about abortion, the dignity of the baby, and supply support for women, but also continue to create that revival that's needed in the United States and in Ireland, a cultural revival for the family, for motherhood, for fatherhood, for seeing every person as created in the image and likeness of God. Truly, it has to do with a revival of belief and a revival of behavior as much as it has to do with changing laws to protect human life.
And it's a really good message, one that ultimately is for the benefit and happiness of other people when we start to see those personal and societal changes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's a great point because we have such a beautiful message. I mean, I got married a year and a half ago. I have a 6-month-old son. Marriage, children are tremendous gifts. Faith is a tremendous gift. Life is meant to be lived to its fullest. And the fully lived life is not lived without commitment, without fidelity, without responsibility. These things are actually, they help ennoble us. They make us more noble. And if we reject these things, if we reject these gifts, we actually become, I think, we don't become the people we're called to be. So if our message, the larger pro-life message, while still being boldly and uncompromising in its anti-abortion stance, if our message is also explaining what the goodness of marriage and modeling it, if our message is celebrating the goodness of children, if it's celebrating the goodness of sex and what sex is actually designed to be, it's designed to create new human life and bond people together. And that's good. That's not a bad thing. And that if we are uncompromising in educating about that and witnessing to that, I think that's the larger cultural change that's needed, as well as continuing our anti-abortion activism.
So it's certainly a message that would challenge both the States and Ireland, I think it's fair to say. Well, Lila, thanks so much for giving us your time and your thoughts and so much energy here at the Rally for Life. It's much appreciated, and we wish you the very best in your work too.
Keep up the great work. Don't give up. We have an incredible cause in front of us, and there will be a victory, but we cannot give up. We have to persevere.